Hey, howdy, hey, what is going on, you guys? It is your boy Pyrotoad here with once again another video. In today's video, we're going to be rescaping this little dude's setup. Now, a lot of you guys don't know who the heck this is, I can already imagine. But this little buddy is Hannibal. He is my, well, I should say she is my female Asian greenback frog. Now, to be honest, that frog right in that little cup right there is one of the oldest animals in this reptile room. I've had that frog by myself alone for about, I'd say, 3 or 4 years. Forget how old she was before I got her, and she was fully grown when I got her. So she's already a very old frog. And Asian greenback frogs really don't live that long, so that really puts her age at a higher number. But this little girl right here has been just kind of chilling in her setup, and there's not really been much going on with it. Now, if you wonder how I got the name Hannibal for her, it's because there was a male in there, and the male disappeared for the longest time, and we thought she ate the male, but it turns out the male was hiding under a decor that I could never get him out of, and then the male unfortunately passed away a little while later. But she never actually ended up eating the male, but that's just what we called her, and it stayed that way. But anyway, let's continue. Yeah, she's been doing really well in her 10-gallon setup, and her setup is okay. It's a partially bioactive setup. It's got lots of live cleanup crew, but at the same time, it just does not look pretty. It's a pretty ugly setup, I'm not gonna lie, compared to what I normally do. It's nothing fancy. Most of the plants have died, to be honest. None of the moss is currently alive. There's some leaf litter, crappy algae-filled water bowl. I mean, to be honest, it's just not the best looking setup. It works really well for the frog, but there's not a lot of plants, not a lot of options for climbing, hiding, and other things like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take everything out of the bottom pretty much. We're going to take off all the stuff that we can get off. We're going to leave this background in, and we're going to add moss over it instead of redoing the whole background. We're going to add moss over it. We're going to clean the glass a whole lot better as well. We're going to add a new layer of substrate, some new plants, and basically rescape this 10-gallon setup. So this is a quick before look, just so you can kind of get an idea. Here's one angle there. Here's the front. And of course, from the other side, a quick little before look of how this enclosure looks. Nothing fancy going on with it at all. And I think it's time that we start cleaning all this junk out and basically rescaping this enclosure. Just wait, I know you don't like being in this cup, but once I get your setup done, trust me, it's going to be worth the wait, okay? The first thing we need to try to do is get the substrate into the bucket. Let's just see if we snap our fingers if it'll work. Whoa! Well, there we go. All the dirt is in. Now, when I snap my fingers, magically, I decided in my brain to leave these hydro balls in here. I'll explain why shortly, but all of the dirt is out and ready to go. Now you may be wondering, Christian, why on earth are you keeping the dirt? The reason why I'm actually keeping the dirt is because it's not really that dirty. It's had a huge amount of cleanup crew, I guess you could say, things like springtails and isopods roaming throughout it. So during this amount of time that the dirt has been sitting there, they're actually keeping it clean. They're eating the waste and breaking it down. So since there is still a good amount of dirt that I can reuse, I'm going to reuse the dirt that is in that tub, plus I'm going to add some more of my own. Now, when I was taking out the dirt, I also pulled out the old window mesh, and oh my gosh, when I was first started building these cages, I did not do a good job cutting this mesh. So we're going to go ahead and get a fresh new sheet of the window mesh laid out across here before we do anything else. And we're going to add a scoop of hydro balls from that bag right there. So now that we've got our window screen in, I've kind of been playing around with these two pieces of cork right here just to add a little bit more of a three-dimensional look to the enclosure. Using pieces like cork to kind of build in and around and out of the enclosure gives the background a more 3D feel. So that's kind of what we're doing. This one I think I'm going to leave right here and elevate the substrate layer. So you can kind of see it drops down. I'll do dirt to here, and then on this one I'll have the substrate a little bit higher. That way we can plant a plant a little bit higher up. Something like that is what I'm thinking we're going to do. And then with this guy here, we may leave it there. We may move it to here. I'm not too sure yet. I'm still kind of playing around with it. But once I get the cork where I want it, I'm going to start adding dirt. And then after we add the dirt, then we'll add plants and everything else like that. Well, buddy, your home is coming along pretty nicely. Just wait a few more minutes and we'll have it all done. Now, I'm not gonna lie, this setup is a lot easier to do than a lot of my other enclosures just because, well, I'm just adding some extra stuff, cleaning out the substrate and adding some fresh plants. I'm not doing a whole background or anything like that. All I'm doing is just touching up spots that don't look too good. I've also got a whole bag of moss over here that we're going to be using for the setup as well. It's got sheet moss and pillow moss, just like the moss that's in this round enclosure. The moss is really going to make it look fancy. It's going to make it look fancy. You know what I mean, man? You know what I mean? So just wait till you had the moss. Just wait. And now, just like so, our substrate is in the enclosure. Next thing we're going to do is grab a good scoop of live oak leaves and just dump them in the enclosure. The live oak leaves are of course going to provide breeding spots for the isopods and springtails and add for a little bit more of a naturalistic look into the enclosure. Now the first plant we're going to add to this enclosure is golden pothos plant. It's a very full plant, and of course pothos plants are super hardy plants as well, so it'll do really well in a setup like this. And I think we're going to put it right in this corner here as a brief example. Of course we'll spread out the limbs and everything like that and make it look a little bit nicer, but I think that'll look really good in that corner. And then I've got this little guy. I'm not too sure the name of this plant, but I do like it, and I like the colors that it has on it. And I think we're going to put that guy somewhere over here. So as a brief sort of idea, that's how it'll look. Now I'm still going to scape everything out and take my time with it. And I still got a lot of moss to add as well. So it's going to be a little bit of a process. It's not like I'm just throwing them in there. But I think that's the general idea of where I want these plants to go. So yeah, not much more to do except go ahead and, well, plant the plants. Well, holy smokes, that is starting to turn out a whole lot better. Now the other thing we still have to add is moss and a little bit more leaf litter. So let's go ahead and start adding our moss and leaf litter, and I'll pick up the camera once we've done so. Well, holy smokes, look at that, y'all. So the setup is just about complete. Now I haven't done too much more to the enclosure except for add some cork, add some moss, and add some more dirt. That's mainly the only changes that really happen to this enclosure, but it makes a huge difference. And right now the lighting's not all that great, but as you can see, we've got moss all the way around on the back there. We've got a new pothos plant. This thing will be great for providing hiding spots and things like that for the frog that'll be going in here. And then we've got this little guy that as it grows out will provide a lot of color. Then of course we've got our naturalistic little stones right there around the water bowl. That's his little water bowl. I cleaned it out a little bit. So I think this thing will look super good. Let's go ahead and get this 10-gallon tank right on its shelf. And heck, if y'all really do enjoy this video of me rescaping my Asian greenback frog setup, maybe we'll rescape this 10-gallon next to it that has my Asian chubby frog in it. We may just do that, we may have to, but that's up to you guys to like this video and really show me that you love it. But we're going to go ahead, get this 10-gallon tank on the shelf. And there we go. The setup is pretty much complete. There's not really anything else we need to add except for our frog. Oh. Our frog is actually down here. I forgot I moved her. So we've got to add this beautiful frog into this enclosure, and then it's basically done. Alright, you ready to go to your new home, little girl? Here we go. Now don't be jumpy, okay? Calm down a little bit. Chill out. Let's see if we can do this one-handed. I'm kind of worried because this frog has got mad hops. And we got her. Okay, we got her. We're going to go ahead, set her in the enclosure, and then close the lid right away. There she goes. Go free. Go free, beautiful lady. Go free. There she is. Look at that. I think she'll absolutely enjoy this setup. Now you can see she's got plenty of space, plenty of room. She can hide actually down there. She can hide in these leaves. She can hide in the top if she wants. She's got plenty of options when it comes to hiding. Now from the opposite side of the reptile room, we can really see how well Hannibal's cage stands out. It looks super duper great, to be honest. I really like the way it looks, and obviously you can kind of see a difference in those two. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe it's the lighting, or maybe I'm just tripping, but I think if this video does well, we may rescape that enclosure next. It's okay looking, it doesn't look too terrible, but it could look a whole lot better, and all these little spots on the glass could go bye-bye, and all this could kind of get cleaned up a little bit more. So it doesn't look terrible, but it doesn't look fantastic either. Slowly but surely, cage by cage, we are getting everything looking really good. All these enclosures are starting to look like zoo enclosures. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, you go down here, wow, it's a whole zoo enclosure. You go over here, zoo enclosure, another zoo enclosure over there. I mean, we've got these nice looking cages all around the reptile room, and that's my ultimate goal. I want a background on every single cage, and I want every cage to be bioactive. Now, of course, that's a very expensive process, I guess you could say, but I feel like in the end it'll be well worth it to have every cage in this insane reptile room to be bioactive. So that's something that I've just been working on week by week, day by day, month by month, year by year, getting supplies and building these setups. And of course, I am filming it to bring you guys along with that journey of turning all these cages bioactive. And if a lot of y'all don't know, that's my specialty. At my job, I literally spend my day building bioactive setups pretty much. That's what I do. So of course, I'm going to build bioactive setups in my own house. Like, why not? Eventually we gotta do something with this cage here, because I mean, this one doesn't look that fantastic. It's not a huge perfect display cage like the two beneath it are, but eventually we're definitely gonna do something different with that one, and maybe we'll get another 40 gallon just like these three here and just have a stack of 40 gallons. I mean, I think that would look pretty cool, not gonna lie. So yeah, Hannibal, our Asian greenback frog, is just chilling up in that left corner and is gonna live her best life. Now, of course, we gotta give her time to get settled into the setup. It's a whole new world for her. She's never been in something like this before. For example, eventually we're gonna get Miss Gucci over here a whole new bioactive 75 gallon tank, and I think the 75 gallon will take up the majority of this rack. So I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with these two cages here. But eventually, I promise you this, Gucci will be getting a 75 gallon tank. I promise you guys, she will get one. But with hers, I want to build insane, so I gotta save up more money for an enclosure like that. But all in all, I really hope you guys did enjoy today's video. I spent a lot of time, effort, and money on these setups, so if you did enjoy today's video, at least subscribe. At least just subscribe. We're on the road to 4,000 subscribers. Every subscription that I get means the world to me. You don't even understand. Every time I swipe up and I check and I see I got more subscribers, I get so hyped up because I know we're growing an insane community, you could almost say, here with this reptile room. So make sure to subscribe, join the family if you haven't already. And with all that being said, that was building Hannibal, our Asian greenback frog female, a brand new sort of bioactive setup. I've already got cleaning crew in here because they were in the substrate previously, so I never ended up adding anything else. But yeah, that's Hannibal, our female Asian greenback frog, and her new setup. With all that being said, I will see you all in the next one. Peace! Would you look at that?